read just one verse. We're going to get a little bit of a description of Jesus here. Daniel chapter 7, and we're going to read verse 9. Daniel 7 and 9. Remember the definition we read for the Negro earlier. You know, it had the lips and the flat nose and the woolly hair. This is a little bit of a description of Jesus that we're reading about. Then we're going to go in Revelation and read it again. Start reading at verse 9. Go ahead and read.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down.
Go ahead.
And the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow.
Now he said the thrones was cast down, and the Ancient of Days sit, and his garment was white as snow. Go ahead and read.
And the hair of his head like the pure wool.
And the hair of his head was like the pure wool, it said, didn't it? Go ahead and finish that verse.
His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
Now this is Jesus that we are reading about, and my point for reading this is to let you know in his hair it was like the wool. Right. Let's go and read it again. Let's go this time, Revelation chapter 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 12. We just making our point. We just laying out all the evidence to make our point.
That's right.
Because you need to understand who the real Israelite is. Revelations chapter 1, and we'll pick it up at verse 12. 1 and 12. Okay, when you get it, go ahead and read.
And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks.
Now this is John. He said, I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and when I turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. Go ahead and read.
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man.
Now who is the Son of Man? That is Jesus. Right. But notice this brief description that is going to give you of Jesus. Go ahead and read on.
Clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle.
Go ahead.
His head and his hands were white like wool.
Well, it says head and his hand was white like wool, it said, didn't it?
That's right.
Go ahead and read on.
As white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Go ahead.
And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace.
Now it said, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they had been burned in a furnace. You burn some brass in a furnace and see what color it's going to come out.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? Lord gave you enough to let you know that you know what color Jesus is. But then we know that he's an Israelite, and we know already that the Israelites look like the Egyptians. Right. Because Jesus looked just like any other Israelite of his day.
That's right.
He didn't look any different from any other Israelite of his day. What verse are we?
That's the 15.
Did you finish that 15?
And his voice as the sound of many waters.
Now, let's go to Matthew chapter 2. And we'll pick it up at verse 13. Matthew chapter 2, and we'll begin reading at verse 13. You had the Egyptians. They were a dark race of people. Then you had the Israelites. They were a dark race of people. So now if you wanted to hide an Israelite, where would you hide him at? You'd hide him among people that look like him, right?
That's right.
Herod sought to kill Jesus when he was born. And this is what the Lord said to his parents to do with him. Matthew chapter 2, and began reading at verse 13, 2 and 13. Okay, go ahead and read.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt.
Wait a minute. Now, if Jesus looked anything like them pictures you've been looking at all of your life, why would you take him? You're trying to hide him now, to keep Pharaoh from killing him. Why would you take him and hide him among a dark people? That wouldn't make no sense at all, would it? You understand what I'm saying? You got a man that looked like a Caucasian, and you need to hide him. You understand what I'm saying? you would not take him among a dark people, would you? Because he would stand out like a sore thumb. But if you wanted to hide him, where would you hide him among? A people that look like him.
That's right.
So now the Lord said, take the young child and flee down into Egypt. Back up and read that again.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt.
Go ahead.
And be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
So now, you know, he had him to take him down into Egypt among a people that look like him, so that he would not stand out. You understand what I'm saying? And that lets you know that Joseph and Mary, they had to be a dark race of people as well.
That's right.
They were Israelites. You know, Joseph came out of the lineage of David, and Mary came out of the lineage of David as well. They were Israelites, and they had an Israelite baby, so they took him and hid him among a dark race of people. Go ahead and read. What verse out?
14.
Go ahead and read.
When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son.
Go ahead and read.
Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise man, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So
now, you know, here you have Jesus, and he was so, his parents was told to take him down into Egypt and hide him there among a dark people, which makes sense. You're going to hide a dark person among dark people.
That's right.
They're going to hide him among other people that don't look like him. But Jesus was an Israelite, and his parents, they were Israelites.
That's right.
And the Egyptians, they were a dark race of people, so you had him among a dark race of people. That makes sense. Now, let's go to Luke chapter 21, and we'll pick it up at verse 20. Show you what Jesus said was going to happen to this dark race of people. Luke chapter 21. And we're going to pick it up at verse 20. 21 and 20. See, all this we need to show you in order to identify who Israel is. Because you got to remember one thing. Your history ain't never been told you. Never. Only part of your history ever been told you is your slave history some 400 years ago. You know, as if you just dropped out the sky 400 years ago. You don't have a history and a culture that goes back like everybody else. You know, like that was the beginning of your history some 400 years ago when you was brought to this land and scattered into all other lands into bondage. But your history goes back like everybody else. But your history has been distorted. And I'm going to show you when it became distorted. Let's start reading here in Luke chapter 21 and pick it up at verse 20. 21 and 20. Go ahead and read.
And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is not.
Now, skip down to verse 23. Go ahead and read.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
Now, who is this people? That's the Israelites. And Jesus is saying that there would be great distress in the land and wrath up on the Israelites. Go ahead and read on.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
He said they would fall by the edge of the sword. Go ahead and read.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
And they would be led away captive, it said, into all nations. So now, if you're looking for the real Israelites, you have to find a people that have been led away captive into all nations, not migrated. The people that the world acknowledged as Jews, were they led away captive into all nations? Well, what about us? Were we led away captive into all nations? Yes, we were. What you need to understand is who fits the description that the Bible gives for Israel. Israel's supposed to be a dark race of people. You're a dark race of people. Israel's supposed to be led away captive into all nations. You were led away captive into all nations. And notice how long it said. Go ahead and read.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Now you know when the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled? At the second coming of Jesus. Yeah. So Israel would not be in the land until the second coming of Jesus. They were led away captive, and they will not be in the land until the second coming of Jesus. Another people gonna be in the land. Let's go and read something from a history book. You're almost done with history. Show you when that happened, that Israel was led away captive. We read from the last 2 million years, and we read from page 87. Go ahead and read.
Faith survives the dispersion.
Go ahead.
The crucifixion of Jesus about AD 30 did not end the resistance to the Roman occupation.
Go ahead.
In 70, when the country...
Wait a minute, in 70 A.D. it said. Go ahead and read.
When the country was again in a state of revolt, Jerusalem, the holy city, became the core of the resistance to the Romans.
Go ahead and read.
Titus, the son of Emperor Vespasian, proceeded to lay siege to Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
The city fell, and the inhabitants were enslaved in their thousands.
Wait a minute, what happened to the inhabitants of Jerusalem?
They were enslaved.
They were enslaved, it said.
In their thousands.
In other words, led away captive. That's what enslaved mean, to be led away captive, right?
Right.
Well, Jesus said that Israel would be led away captive into all nations until the time of the Gentile be fulfilled.
Right.
What happened in 70 A.D.? This was around 30 A.D. that Jesus made that prediction. What happened in 70 A.D.? They were led away captive. And Jesus said, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. In other words, until his second coming. Because that's when the time of the Gentile will be fulfilled. Now, let's go to read something from another history book. And it is called The Sarcophagus of Ancient Civilization. Because I'm going to show you something else that happened in 70 A.D. Find page 372. Show you what else happened in 70 A.D. Remember, you had the Israelites, didn't you? And you had the Edomites. I want you to start reading. We're going to save time. Well, just start reading right there. Okay. What's underlined in red, and then read what's underlined in red right there. Okay, go ahead and read.
Henceforth, the Idumeans were reckoned as Jews, and their land was counted as one of the 11 tetrarchies of Judea.
Now, who are the Idumeans? They are the Edomites. That is another name for the Edomites. They are the Idumeans. So now Israel, they was to be led away captive, and they did in 70 A.D. Now, let's find out what happened to the Edomites, or as they are also called, the Idumeans. Go ahead and read.
But the union between them and the Jews proved of little blessing. Rather, they became an element of weakness to the Jews.
Go ahead.
And in the moment of need, they treacherously betrayed them to Rome.
Now, this was your brothers said they betrayed to Rome, because they sided with the Romans in 70 A.D. when they came down there and took Israel out. Go ahead and read on.
By nature, they were cruel and barbarous, fierce and turbulent. At the time, the Romans under Titus besieged Jerusalem in 70 A.D.
In 70 A.D. Now, remember, in 70 A.D., that's when Israel got taken out, right? Now, what happened to the Edomites? Go ahead and read.
The Idumeans, along with the Zealot party, early joined in the rebellion against the foe.
Go ahead.
Through the influence of John of Giscalea, as Josephus informs us, 20,000 Idumeans were allowed to access to the holy city, only to fill the city with robbery and bloodshed.
Go ahead.
They spared nobody.
Go ahead.
The outer temple was completely covered with blood. 8,500 perished there in one day.
Now, this is Edom that you're reading about here. And this is what he did to Israel. Go ahead.